Hi, let's try to get into this. I wanted to do a review on this video because one of my goals is I really want to be a good Scrum Master. So, how to be a really good Scrum Master is the name of this video. And this is done by Responsive Advisors. These guys, I've found them on YouTube when I don't know how long ago. I have listened to this video at least once, and I have watched some of their content. Some of their content is 3 years old, 1 year old, 3 months old, whatever. 3 weeks. So I think 3 weeks. I think this video was done 3 weeks ago. I think. Let's see, 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. And they have 3,000 subscribers, but they are instructors. They train. I am not at that level yet. I am at a level where I'm not really making any money in this realm, and I feel like I'm advanced enough where we've been in IT so long that a lot of stuff I can pick up free and go for free certifications and things like that. And when I'm ready to move to the next level, and I need help with getting certifications, then I may end up spending a little bit of money. But right now, I'm not ready for that. I'm building up to that. So let's get into this video. I am gonna play it at 1.25 here, until it sounds pretty brutal. But let's see. Let's get into it.
So how do you know you're a good Scrum Master? That's a hard question to answer sometimes. How do you know how to hire the right person as a Scrum Master? And I've seen a lot of fails on that.
Well, I think it's just you used to have the title of project manager, and now
Okay, I probably should see these guys' names and stuff. So Jason Mamastad. I think that's how you pronounce his name. You probably butchered it. I'm sorry, Jason. So he's managing advisor. So the other guy, let's go back and look at his name here. Let's see what so this is Greg Crown. His last name is a little bit easier to say. CTO, managing advisor as well. Um, so let's see.
Hire the right person as a Scrum Master. And I've seen a lot of fails on that.
well, I think it's just you used to have the title of project manager, and now therefore you become a Scrum Master. I think that's how it works.
Okay.
No offense, all the project managers out there, but I did have someone say that to me once. Like, no, I'm a project manager, so therefore on the Scrum team I must be a Scrum Master. It's a little bit more complex than that. Shocking to hear, I know. One of the first things that I look for, both in myself when I'm evaluating myself and others, if I'm looking to see, hey, this person might be a good Scrum Master.
Okay, so he's talking about evaluating others and evaluating himself. Maybe I should take a little bit of a couple of notes here.
Is a quality that's hard to really nail down or define. I'll throw out some phrases that I think approximate it. I've heard high emotional intelligence, people smarts. I've heard it described as the ability to read the room. I'm not looking for someone who's necessarily clairvoyant. I don't need you to read someone else's mind. But we've probably all come across those people who are willing to who understand kind of the feeling in the room and maybe even willing to act on it, like pointing out the elephant in the room. Like we all feel like everybody.
Gotcha. So the elephant in the room, you're talking about a really good scrum master. You're talking about somebody that's well seasoned, um, willing to, I don't know, ruffle some feathers, it sounds like. But most definitely is self-aware enough to know um, people have feelings, right? And you have to use tact. You got to come across the right way. My manager used to say about me, um, my last manager, something like I had this thing. I don't even remember what he called it, but I had this like, mm, I don't know. I had a way of drawing things out of people, right? So I am hoping that that skill right there, that soft people skill, will because a lot of the stuff is technical. You can learn the Scrum guide, the Agile principles. These are things that you just read and just read them every week, right? So that's the easy part. But then dealing with how you deal with people, and also to you yourself become um experimented, right? You're experimenting empirically, right? You're going to learn, and you're hoping that you're in an environment where there is enough grace as you are working through some things that as you're trying to add value that you're going to be able to um yeah, but that's when you'll be able to make a couple of mistakes and people are realizing, oh, she is really trying. She is genuinely want to know and she's here to help and here to add value. Okay. So let's see what else. I think he has more to
Everybody's
say
thinking
about
the
this.
same thing, but there's that one person who's willing to say it out loud so we can start addressing it. Like that is usually someone who's going to be a good scrum master because
Yeah. So he says it because, and we have, he talking about this elephant in the room, and they're willing to talk about that elephant in the room. So what everybody's thinking that the Scrum Master is going to actually say it. They're going to say it in a way where people is going to be like, "Oh, dude, you're so on point." And matter of fact, and some people may have been holding their breath, and when they say it, it's just like a release for that person. So yeah, I most definitely let's see the reason because of this.
they may not have the answers for everything, nor do they really need to. But they're willing to kind of reveal the problem. And in order to reveal the problem, you kind of have to sometimes sense what's not being said.
Yeah, I got some thoughts directly related.
I like that too. Okay. So let's see what Rob uh Piper, he's a CEO, principal advisor. Okay. So let's see what's up with this guy. His we're on the theme of what? How to be a really good scrum master.
That. So my kind of angle on this next point is around a balance between being passive and active. And by that, I mean, not in every situation do you need to be out there and I'm the scrum master and this is the way it's going to be and this is going to be how it goes. But every once in a while, you do need to be more of a driver. You got a team flailing. It's a retrospective. We're getting close to the end and we still haven't come up with an improvement opportunity. Perhaps the scrum master finally steps in and says, look, guys, we got lots of discussion. We can always have an after party for this particular thing, but let's not hold everybody hostage while some of us argue about finer points. What's our improvement opportunity? And so strong facilitation skills are more on the active side. Once in a while, you need a scrum master with strong facilitation skills. Now, in terms of being passive, there are times when you should just take a step back, let the team decide, let the team.
So let's pause there for a minute because so it most definitely going to be opportunities, right? And maybe it has a lot to do with the actual Scrum team. Very seasoned, they've been working together for so long. So passive may be the way. So let's go back to this active one. But sometimes because you still and even with a strong team, I can imagine in my mind now, a strong team, all these guys and then they're gonna be at an impasse because they all have legitimate high ideas, but then for that scrum master to kinda help guide them through that and help drive or whatever, to step in and say, "Look here, guys. You guys have been discussing this. Now, what is the real goal? What is the sprint goal here? What is the product goal?" Right? And help them get focused because I'm assuming what's gonna happen in that situation sometimes, that they are gonna get so tunnel vision on what they thinking and what they feeling is going to be valuable, that they're going to lose focus or lose sight of what the actual scrum goal is, or excuse me, the sprint goal, or or even the product goal for that matter, or even what the organization is working toward as well. So I can see that most definitely being a something to look out for. Um, and to be able to do that, right? To know when to have that balance, to know when to be active and when to be passive. So he's getting ready to talk about this passive. So let's continue with this one. I like this one.
Fail, let the team learn. But be careful on when you pull that card as well, because allowing a team to make a catastrophic mistake while you watch it happen, not a great idea.
Yeah.
So active, passive, you got to figure out when to play which card. Too active, and you're going to upset people because you're more of a bull in a china shop. Too passive, you're not worth the salary that they're.
Yeah, that being too active, you're not going to allow that team to grow and to learn. Okay. But then that I most definitely you're talking about good scrum master is somebody who most definitely is seasoned. Somebody starting out, yes, you can probably get a couple of wins in, right? You get a couple of wins of because of especially if you've been dealing with people for so long, right? So I've been in IT industry for 20 some years and actually more than 25 years for sure. And learning people and being self-aware and I do not know if they bring that up or not, but yeah, it's spot on. That quality of being the person who can read the room and all that kind of stuff, and have that courage to speak out with whatever the elephants that's in the room, acknowledging that elephant, helping, but then this here balance of knowing um when to be passive and active, because it's not or, it's just when to be passive and when to be active, because they both are very, very crucial. Even if it's a strong scrum team, a development team, or if it's just starting out. Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Paying you.
Yeah, and I think I relate that to being a parent. I know this doesn't, everybody doesn't have this experience, but as a parent, there are times when I need to
Parent.
step in because my kid's doing something really dangerous, and there's times where, he might be he's doing something. If he falls, is he going to bump his elbow? Like, okay, maybe I just let him learn from that. If he falls, he's going to break his neck. Okay, I'm going to step in, right? And I think a good Scrum Master has that same balance.
I think just to add a little bit on here, to be able to have a little foresight, okay? Because I think that's what's important here. The foresight, knowing that, oh, yikes, I better get him because this could happen, right? Knowing when to step in, or even sometimes give a little nudge, just say, hey, you may want to be careful. That's not going to lead to a good thing. And then watch them like a hawk until they get past that little hurdle and be able to move on. So there's that oversight that you're providing for that child because they need it. Because they need it. Because our teenager, when it's starting to drive, what do you got to do? You got to be in the car with them. Okay. And then eventually you don't need to be in there with them. So I think this most definitely him using the analogy of being a parent, I think most definitely resonates for sure. I like that.
Balance. Speaking of being active, another quality that I look for in a Scrum Master is really the willingness to drive change. You see in corporations, you see in big organizations and small ones sometimes, these rules or these policies or that's just the way it is. And the best Scrum Masters that I've worked with have used that phrase, well, that's just the way it's done around here, instead of demoralizing them and saying okay, well, I guess we have to accept it, almost like a starting pistol or a fire under them, under their chair, to say, well, why does it have to be that way? Have we talked to anybody about this? This is slowing us down. Who do I see about that, right? And being able to just start conversations. It doesn't mean, you are that bull in the china shop that you talked about, Rob, necessarily. Sometimes they can be useful. But it does mean that you have a low tolerance for just accepting the status quo and being able to say, okay, if
I like that. A low tolerance of accepting the status quo, you know? Because nobody's gonna grow in that environment, right? You want to be able to grow, and to grow requires change, doesn't it? And and I think this takes balance too, right? Because if there's a deadline coming up right now, the scrum master is going to use wisdom, right? To know, okay, maybe not this time, but next time this may need to come up. We'll bring it up in the retrospective or whatever, right? Yeah, yeah, I like these qualities. And I don't even know if, and I should have been taking real good notes. My notes are horrible. I'm not really good at taking notes. That's why I like doing videos, because I'm horrible at notes.
if this is the way it is now, and we know this is causing negative impacts, is there a minor change we could make to start the ball rolling? Is there a major change that we could just, propose a new way of doing things and experiment with it? Being someone who's willing to take a look at where we want to be in terms of process and team health and organizational health and value delivery and all the good things that Scrum gives us, and starting to propose steps towards that can make for a really effective Scrum Master.
Oh, dude, I like this. I definitely like this, because this made me think about the whole changing something so minuscule, right? Especially when it may be something huge, right? A huge problem, but you're not going to try to overhaul that anyway, right? You're going to try to find something. And I was listening to a video where it talks about some mistakes you make and stuff like that. So one of the things to think about is that um and now I can't even remember. Just lost it. Yeah, because I don't take notes. So that's why these videos are here. I got to start retaining more information, because I need to be able to pull back from that to be able to bring it to the forefront of what I'm learning here. Yeah, because one of the things that he was mentioning um about this, the willingness to drive change, and and getting to the point where you just don't, want to stay with the status quo. Um, yeah. Let me back it up because apparently I feel like I got distracted with the noise behind me. So let's back up just a little back up a little bit and listen
It
again.
does mean that you have a low tolerance for just accepting the status quo and being able to say, okay, if this is the way it is now, and we know this is causing negative impacts, is there a minor change we could make to start the ball rolling? Is there a major change that we could just, propose a new way of doing things and experiment with it? Being someone who's willing to take a look at where we want to be in terms of process and team health and organizational health and value delivery and all the good things that Scrum gives us, and starting to propose steps towards that can make for a really effective Scrum Master.
I've got one final tip on this one.
Yeah, before we give his final one tip, he talked about the Scrum Master, and I don't even know if he was even meaning to say this, right? When you're talking about a good Scrum Master, you're talking about a very effective Scrum Master, somebody that's bringing value, timely value, right? You know, um, and I remember hosting a meeting every Friday. The time Friday is just cool. I don't know, something about Fridays, and because we've had probably a long week and there's so much going on, and you're really winding down, getting ready for the weekend. So we would have this meeting about 10 Eastern Standard Time, but sometimes we get some work done on that meeting, which was um, which was great because we we were already in a really good mood. And so here we are in this meeting, and people would make comments sometimes and say, this is my favorite meeting of the week or my favorite meeting, right? And which was just sort of like, ooh, but it had a lot to do with how open and everybody felt they can contribute, right? They were able to contribute. Okay, let's get into his last one here.
It's often overlooked. So you got Scrum Masters out there doing their thing. You've got organizations implementing Scrum. And I feel there's a lot of companies and individuals that just don't put enough weight and enough value on the idea of actually being an expert in Scrum. When you call yourself a Scrum Master, Scrum Master doesn't mean you run the show. A Scrum Master means you're like a karate master, like Miyagi or something. Wax on, wax off. You are like the sage. You're the expert. You're the one people come to for advice. And to have anything good to say, you got to know what you're talking about. How do you become an expert in Scrum? Obviously, educate yourself. Read the Scrum Guide. But then there's so many more books and so many more things you can be learning after your basic boot camps or intro classes. Books on soft skills that you addressed earlier, books on organizational change, stuff you just mentioned a minute ago.
Okay, so he's bringing up a couple of things, right? To be an expert, you're gonna have to be learning something all the time. You just can't say, "Oh, I've arrived." That's not good, right? You want to stay learning because it keeps you in this mindset of still have room to grow, right? So the Scrum Master, I even thought about, especially starting out, and I'm hoping this is going to be a practice that I will continue. That Scrum guide and that the Agile Manifesto, I do want to be looking at that once a week, right? Listening to it once a week. Just play it, read it until I almost can have it memorized, right? And yeah, so maybe even I need to start looking at breaking that down myself and coming up with videos as well too to kind of, map it out too. Cuz that is part of it, right? Um to be an expert and then in working on those skills, right? You don't think that, you know, I'm I consider myself a people person and not a person who always want to please people, right? I can be disagreeable, but I know when to back down and I am self-aware. But sometimes I still need to learn. So here it is talking about different kind of resources and even how how should a business run? One of those books I had read called Tipping Point. I thought Tipping Point, it was a really good book. It was recommended because somebody recommended and said this is a book that talks about how companies should run, and Tipping Point. It was pretty good. It really was. It's not just for business, but it's most definitely help you think about things in a different way. Okay. How are you going to address when problems come? How do you want to move forward? Okay. And a Scrum Master, effective Scrum Master, one that provide value, all that kind of stuff that these guys have been talking about. Yeah, I love this. I love this. Let me come back a little bit here before I play.
How do you become an expert in Scrum? Obviously, educate yourself, read the Scrum guide, but then there's so many more books and so many more things you can be learning after your basic boot camps or intro classes. Books on soft skills that you addressed earlier, books on organizational change, stuff you just mentioned a minute ago, understanding where Scrum came from and advanced applications of it. If you don't have answers to those basic questions, you won't gain any respect from your team. Without respect, it's really hard to influence without authority, which is one of the number one tools a Scrum Master has. So come on, let's just be experts in Scrum
Let's go
and commit
back.
to a
I feel like
path of expertise.
I missed something. Let's go back a little bit here.
Respect from your team. Without respect, it's really hard to influence without authority, which is one.
Okay, without respect, it's hard to influence without authority. He's right. And one thing I think about respect too, you definitely have to have self-respect, right? So, and then in you showing respect to other people, it sort of calls this like um in an environment where respect is very important for everybody. And because even somebody who's disrespectful, and then how a respectful person actually approaches a disrespectful person can be very, very, very helpful. I'm thinking now of the interview when President Donald Trump had was interviewed by the Black National Journalism people or something, and the girl who I think lives in an echo chamber. So she was not aware that people think different than her. She had a set of beliefs that dictate how she responded to a man who she felt uh, that was bad. And she didn't know him. Apparently she did not know him, but she is living in a world where he was something that she treated him exactly like she thought he was, which is horrible. But and sh- she asked a question, and then before he responded to her question, or in responding to her question, he acknowledged the elephant in the room with her, that she was very disrespectful, and she didn't even bother speaking. So she was not being a good journalist, but she lives in this world, and it coming from a certain set of um, beliefs that cause her to say he does not deserve respect. And in turn, a person that's respectful can't help but to be respectful. Okay. And I'm not saying to be perfect at being respectful, but because she didn't even, when he says this to her, that would have cut me to my core. If I said what she said, and then he said to me what he said, I would have felt like I was cut to my core, like, oh gracious, I done got off on the wrong foot. I am so sorry. That was not my intention. And we need to take a step back and let's begin again, right? But she didn't. She doubled down. She kept at um her way, and I felt as though she was doing herself a disservice because of the way she was treating someone that's being very respectful to her, but she was being so disrespectful. So here I can see this here, Scrum Master. You have to be a person that respects yourself, and that you realize you don't know everything. And then here you are learning and knowing you still have room to grow. You're still educating yourself. You're really still getting involved, and you listen to other experts. So here I am looking at this video. It's very small video, of course, very short video, but there's a lot in here. There's a lot of nuggets in here, and I appreciate these guys. They're free content. Okay, I have not dug into any of their paid content or anything like that. Um, but I'm just enjoying these small little tidbits.
One of the number one tools a Scrum Master has. So come on, let's just be experts in Scrum and commit to a path of expertise where you're continuously learning, absorbing like a sponge everything you need to know, kicking it up a notch, taking it to the next level, and earn that respect so you can influence without authority.
Yeah,
Y'all,
you want to influence without authority. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
described a very complex individual with a lot of skills that are needed to be able to make for a successful, good, maybe even great Scrum Master.
Yeah.
But I think they're decent tips. Hopefully people can take that into consideration. A lot of job descriptions out there don't account for this. So don't look
Yeah.
at that as your guide to being a good Scrum Master. Take some tips from this and level up. This is good stuff.
Yeah, that was really good, right? Level up. I like that. I like that, right? We need to level up. And another thing he did mention too, the job descriptions will not help you with this, right? Look at the job description, looking at what I need to grow to be a Scrum Master. It's not going to be on that sheet. It'll tell me the technical things that I may need to know, but it's up to me to know where I am. Where am I today? What do I need to know? Um, Look for common mistakes, which I still haven't figured out those common mistakes. But I think I may end up doing a video dealing with that because apparently I thought I was pretty good at these common mistakes, but apparently I can't remember any of them. So I think it's time for a video there. Um, so I can really hone in on those because I think they're going to be helpful too for me to reflect on those as well. Yeah, so I enjoyed these guys. Shout out to Responsive Advisors. This here was published 3 weeks ago. Okay, the true skills that make a really good Scrum Master. Okay, yeah, and I probably should be commenting on some of these videos because I've watched a lot of their content. I really have, and some of the like summits or something like that, where it's like a 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, maybe even an hour. I'll listen to it while I'm driving or something like that. Because it's just something I just felt like, oh, just need to listen to. Just being around people that are the top of their game, I think is really, really important. Um, so yeah, I do appreciate what these guys brought. Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably do a couple more of their videos, maybe one a week or something. I have no idea what I'm gonna do, but I hate to be making these declarations. Man, I don't keep any of my declarations, but yeah, cool. Somehow somebody turn a light on back there, and I hate that light, but I do. I hate that light. So for these videos, I really do. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is a good one. Looking forward to the next one. Okay.